What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Kellycast. If this is your first time around here, welcome. It's a sports podcast done usually by myself and my cousin. My name is, of course, Mr. Dan Kelly, a graduate of the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, current news producer here in Buffalo. That's why I was not able to get this video done sooner, but, barring work, I do have to get it done because I love you guys. I love doing this. This is my favorite thing in the world. But today we are looking at the Buffalo Bills schedule, which was released yesterday. You ask, Dan, didn't you already see it? It's all over social media. No, guys, no. I actually have been off of social media since yesterday because I wanted to do a blind reaction. Now, being that I work in a newsroom, there were some things that I did here. I do know the Week 2 matchup against the Miami Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. That one I do know. And I think we play the Ravens on Week 4, but I don't know the times of these games. I don't know when we play these opponents. So this is going to be my first look at the Bills 2024 schedule. If you enjoy this video, please give a like down below, comment, share it with all your friends. We're trying to grow here. It's very difficult with the algorithm on YouTube, so anything that you want to say to people to get them to watch the Kellycast, I would enjoy, I would love, I'd appreciate. Thank you so much for watching so far. But let's get right into the Bills 2024 schedule. I'm going to pull it up on my computer here, so just give me a moment. Oh man, let's see what it looks like, guys. I'm very excited to see how the opponents shake out, and here we go. Buffalo Bills release full 2024 schedule. All right, September 8th, week 1. It looks like it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals at home starting the season. I like to see that. The Cardinals, not a scary opponent. Kind of like having them around September. I think Kyler Murray is highly overrated, and I think the Bills are going to win that game. So I like starting off with the win. Week 2, once again, we mentioned it, Thursday versus the Dolphins in Miami. The one good thing about this is the sun should not be a factor, being that this is a night game, and the fact that it's early on in the season, we get to see Miami a little early. I like that to kind of gauge where they're at and where we're at as a team, because coming into 2024, both teams look very, very different. I think this is going to be a competitive matchup. Josh has done pretty well against the Dolphins so far in his career. Let's hope that continues. Moving on, week 3, Monday night game. So we go from Thursday to Monday, a long break, which you like to see for your guys, against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. Okay. Jags had an interesting year last year. Was not probably the year that their fans wanted nor expected, but I do think they're a talented team. Monday night, I like this. I like this this timing for the game. I think it works. I hope the Bills can pull one out. Jacksonville obviously had their number last year, that game being in London, Jacksonville's second home, right? Week 4 is the Baltimore Ravens, like I expected, at Ravens, 8:20. So this must be another late game. I believe this is a Sunday nighter, if I'm correct here. Let's see, Ravens, week 4. Yes. So a Sunday night football game. Jags is Monday night. The Baltimore Ravens, I always sleep on them. I always think, hey, the team doesn't look that good this year or this or that, and they just always seem to find a way. John Harbaugh, a hell of a coach. Lamar Jackson, the MVP last season, and just another year of growth, another year of development. I think they're going to be a really, really good football team, one of the top teams in the AFC. That's going to be a tough matchup for the Buffalo Bills. Week 5 at Houston Texans, a 1 o'clock game. The Stephon Diggs revenge game for the Texans and the Bills, showing the Texans that it's not their time yet, hopefully. The Texans did make some moves in the 2023 playoffs that maybe some people didn't expect. I kind of thought that Flacco and the Browns were going to handle them, and that didn't quite happen. I think the Texans, on paper, are a very, very good football team, but we've seen sophomore slumps before. Not that I'm hoping that C.J. Stroud gets worse, but at least in week 5 of the 2024 NFL season, I would like for him to play worse than usual. Next up, our first meeting with the New York Jets, a Monday Night Football game, October 14th. This one's in New Jersey, 8:15, of course. I guess they haven't learned their lesson from putting Aaron Rodgers versus the Bills in primetime. Obviously, we know what happened last year. It was disappointing for the league overall. It was good for the AFC East, being that I'm a Bills fan and that the Jets were basically no competition. Now, hopefully, we're going to see what they look like with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, with a healthy, Breece Hall, the young core that they've been building. I think they can be a good team. I expected them to be a fairly good team last year. I think I had projected around 7 wins, maybe around the same this year. But the bonus of having Rodgers hurt last year and having Zach Wilson play those games is the fact that now you play worse teams this year. Again, because you finished 3rd in the division. You've face other teams who finished 3rd in the division as well. So I think the Jets might be a lot better than they were last year. Week 7, Tennessee Titans, 1 o'clock. I love the 1 o'clock games for multiple reasons. I think it's best for the players and their rest. It just makes the most sense. It's what we've seen for a long time. A lot of people love the primetime games. I get it. I understand. You're the only game on. The entire nation, right, is watching you. But they do have their drawbacks for sure, one of them being the rest for the players. The Tennessee Titans don't particularly scare me. I like this matchup for the Bills. I'm glad to see them in the early stages because I think after the bye week hits, the Buffalo Bills need to understand that, it's basically playoff football from there on out because that's what we expect with Josh Allen, with the core that we have. I understand we lost a lot of captains. We lost some talent. Some aging players, let's be honest, Poyer, Morse, all those kinds of guys. I love them. I love what they did for the team, but it is a new time. I've been saying for years that the Bills need to rely more on their younger players, the guys from the draft, the guys that have been in the league 2-3 years. We need more out of them. You see other teams have these rookies that become instant stars, and Buffalo typically doesn't, because they kind of just sprinkle them in a little bit here and there, and I think they need to trust them more and give them that chance to shine. Next up, Week 8 at Seattle Seahawks. This is a 4 o'clock game. Seahawks, a team that I was high on last year, didn't quite end up working out. I think this year is going to be really that year for Geno. He didn't have a great year last year as opposed to the year before when he won Comeback Player of the Year, but I think he's still serviceable. I think the Seahawks can still sneak into the playoffs in a wild card spot there in the NFC. I don't think that division is theirs to win. Obviously, we know who that belongs to. But this should be a winnable game for Buffalo. So we got like a 3-game stretch here of like better than average. I would consider these teams, but not best in the league, right? Not Kansas City. Obviously, we saw Baltimore a little earlier. Baltimore's on another level for me personally, but maybe you feel differently. If you do, let me know in the comments down below how you feel. Let's keep this moving, though. Bills and Dolphins for the second time in Week 9, November 3rd. This is a 1 o'clock game in Buffalo. Would obviously like to see Miami a little bit later in Buffalo just because of the snow, but in terms of playing it fair, right, with the heat and the snow, obviously polar opposites, I think this is fine. It's interesting to see Miami again so early because we're not going to see them again unless they make the playoffs and we meet for a 3rd time in the season. I'm okay with it versus the Miami Dolphins. That's fine. Week 10 versus the Indianapolis Colts in Indy, 1 o'clock, Lucas Oil Stadium. Interesting team. I think by this point at Week 10 in 2024, we should kind of know what's going on with that quarterback room. Anthony Richardson obviously got hurt in 2023. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him here in 2024 because, I've seen scrambling quarterbacks get hurt and kind of pump the brakes on the scrambling when it's one of their best assets. So I'm hoping he keeps scrambling in his game, just is more smart about protecting himself at the end, kind of like Josh Allen had to get after a couple years in the league. Next up, week 11, the game everybody has circled, November 17th against the Kansas City Chiefs, a 4:25 game. This game in Buffalo, and that's the most important thing about it, right? We know the Bills have not been able to slay the Chiefs in the playoffs, but they have had their number in the regular season, and this is the first time that Kansas City comes to Buffalo since COVID year, where there were no fans in the stands. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Bills Mafia plays a role in this game. I really hope the Buffalo Bills can show the Kansas City Chiefs, hey, we're not the little brother anymore. Like, I thought last year was the year where they were finally going to do it. They were finally going to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, and it just, wasn't meant to be. So we're going to have to see what happens here. But this game ultimately might matter in terms of the seeding in the AFC. But if the Bills lose to the Chiefs in the regular season, I don't care. I care about the playoffs, just like everybody else. That's what matters. That's when we need to have the best game of the season, not during the regular season. Okay? Let's get that clear. After Kansas City, the Buffalo Bills get their bye week in week 12. So after their bye week, they're going to play 6 games. Not the worst placement. I'm kind of glad it's not later, right? Would you like it earlier? Maybe. But for a team like Buffalo, who I think most expect to be in the postseason, unless you're a delusional analyst who thinks the New England Patriots are going to do better than the Buffalo Bills, which, hey, maybe, right? Never say never when it comes to the NFL. When it comes to football, you never know what's going to happen. But I do think the Bills on paper are better than the New England Patriots. After the bye week, we get a tough stretch of NFC teams. Week 13, December 1st, against the San Francisco 49ers. This must be another Sunday night game. Yes, Sunday night game against the 49ers. So far, again, Josh has done pretty well against the Niners. I think they're a really, really good football team, well coached, talented all around the board. That's going to be a very tough game. At least you get time to prepare. You get time to think about what Shanahan's going to do, what Purdy's going to do. Where are you in terms of injuries with health with your team and the other team? It's very important to see. Obviously we don't have a crystal ball into the future. It would be great if we did. But next up, they have to travel to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Another, interesting team. Obviously, Aaron Donald retired, so not as scary as before. But on offense, they have loads of talent, right? We know Cooper Kupp, and obviously rookie sensation from last year, Puka Nacua. I think that's going to be another tough game for Buffalo. And they continue. Another NFC matchup at Detroit, week 15. Wow, the Lions, what a year they had last year, right? Almost a Cinderella run, but they did get bounced by the 49ers in the playoffs. This is tough. I mean, you remember the Bills and Lions in 2023 on Thanksgiving. Buffalo was stagnant the entire game, and it came down to the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs connection that ended up helping the Bills beat the Lions on that day. And we're not going to have Stephon Diggs this time around. It's going to be hopefully the Keon Coleman show. It's going to be interesting to see where he's at in terms of the season here in week 15, hopefully playing like an absolute superstar. Week 16 is our first look at the New England Patriots in Buffalo, December 22nd, 1 o'clock game. This is the Bills' first 1 o'clock game in 5 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust in terms of that. One of those weeks is the bye week, so obviously take that in mind. Seeing New England late, not a first. I think it was the same in 2023. We saw them kind of once and then another team, and then it was New England again. So there's positives and negatives to that. Going to be interesting to see what New England looks like this year with a new head coach, obviously, a new quarterback, new everything really in New England. So they're kind of a wild card factor. In week 17, December 29th, the Bills will play the New York Jets, also 1 o'clock game, back-to-back games in Buffalo in December. Hopefully, none of these games have to be moved due to weather concerns, right? But again, be interesting to see where the Jets are at in terms of in December here. Obviously, we saw them earlier. It was in October. So this is, you've seen them play a lot of games in between, and you can kind of see where they're at in terms of, hey, are they better than Buffalo? Are they worse than Buffalo? We'll have to see. And finally, in Week 18 at New England Patriots, this game time and where it's going to be held Sunday night, Thursday night, Saturday night is all yet to be determined. They usually do that in weeks 17 and week 18 to see about those teams that they expect to be in the playoff picture. Usually they like to showcase them. So overall, thoughts on the schedule from me. I'm going to say that stretch after the bye week is very tough. San Francisco, Rams, Lions. I would hope to come away realistically with 2 of those games, but we'll see. Kansas City obviously sticks out like a sore thumb. Baltimore, Jacksonville. There's a lot of tough games here. I think I'm going to save most of the predictions for another day. Obviously, you heard some just because I'm riffing with you guys. It's fun. It's fun to be here. I love it. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, share. I did stay off social media for almost a day. You may think that's easy. For me, it was a little bit difficult because, you just pick up your phone. You're just so used to it. But I did manage to get you guys this blind reveal. If you like things like this, let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We do have multiple pages, one here on YouTube, another on Facebook, where you can keep up with the most up-to-date information. I want to thank you guys for sticking through it with me. I know it was a little bit of a long one. I'll have this out very soon. As always, take it easy. I'm Dan Kelly. Have a great evening, night, morning, whenever time you watch this video, and go Bills.